Keanu Reeves, one of Hollywood's most revered icons, casually strolled into a high-end luxury car dealership, expecting nothing more than an ordinary day. But what unfolded within those gleaming walls would shatter expectations and ignite a chain of events so profound, the truth about him would leave the world astounded and transformed. Before we dive into this unforgettable tale, tell us where you're watching from. If you love stories that reveal hidden truths and challenge the status quo, subscribe now, because tomorrow, we have another extraordinary story waiting just for you. Keanu Reeves had always been a man of quiet dignity, a presence that needed no grand entrance or flashy announcement to be felt. On a crisp Los Angeles morning, with the sky a brilliant canvas of blue, Keanu set out on what he expected to be an ordinary day. Little did anyone know that his visit to one of the city's most exclusive luxury car dealerships would soon become a defining moment, a story of respect, transformation, and the power of human decency. Dressed in his signature understated style, a black leather jacket paired with well-worn jeans, Keanu strolled down a bustling LA street, the kind of sidewalk that bore silent witness to both the everyday and the extraordinary. His calm demeanor was a stark contrast to the fast-paced energy of the city, and although a few passers-by recognized him, most paid little mind, assuming him to be just another face in the crowd. After a brief stop at a local cafe where he exchanged warm greetings with familiar staff, Keanu's thoughts turned to a particular dream that had been growing in his heart for months. He longed for something that merged his passion for classic automobiles with a desire to give back, a rare, vintage car that could be restored and transformed into a symbol for a charitable cause. Today, his destination was clear: a renowned luxury car dealership known for its impeccable collection of timeless models. The dealership was a temple of automotive art, with polished marble floors reflecting the gleam of high-end vehicles and walls lined with glass cases that held the promise of perfection. As Keanu stepped inside, he felt an almost palpable shift in atmosphere. The ambient light danced upon the glossy surfaces of exotic cars, and the soft hum of whispered conversations filled the room. Despite the lavish surroundings, Keanu's presence was almost inconspicuous, his modest attire and unassuming air blending with the background. Yet, beneath the veneer of elegance, an undercurrent of exclusivity and judgment lurked. The staff, impeccably dressed in tailored suits and sparkling accessories, exchanged knowing glances as they noted his arrival. It wasn't long before a well-dressed salesman, momentarily distracted by his smartphone, glanced up with a perfunctory nod before hurrying away, leaving Keanu to navigate the space on his own. Keanu's eyes were soon drawn to a stunning vehicle tucked away in a quieter corner of the showroom. It was a classic model, its curves and chrome accents reminiscent of a bygone era. Every line of its design spoke of artistry and careful craftsmanship, a stark contrast to the modern, ostentatious machines that dominated the rest of the showroom. For Keanu, this car was more than just a machine. It was a piece of history, a relic waiting for a second life in the hands of someone who valued substance over superficiality. Moved by an inexplicable sense of purpose, Keanu approached the car with a measured, respectful gait. As he ran his hand along its meticulously crafted body, the smoothness of the finish and the subtle purr of the engine seemed to whisper promises of past adventures and future possibilities. In that quiet moment, time appeared to slow, allowing him to savor every detail as if he were communing with a cherished old friend. No sooner had Keanu absorbed the beauty of the car than the tranquility of the moment was shattered. A shadow fell over him in the form of Richard, the dealership's manager, a man whose rigid posture and cold, calculating eyes betrayed his true nature. With a rehearsed smile that barely masked his disdain, Richard approached, his voice dripping with condescension. "This model is extraordinary," Richard said, his tone more akin to a challenge than an invitation. "But it's not for everyone. It's reserved for those who understand its value, people who belong in spaces like these." Keanu turned slowly to face him, his expression calm and unwavering. "I appreciate its history and beauty," he replied evenly, "and I believe that true appreciation isn't defined by appearances or wealth." Richard's eyes narrowed as he took in Keanu's simple attire and unpretentious demeanor. "Really? Because in here, we cater to a very particular clientele," he sneered. "People who invest in quality understand that luxury isn't just about owning something expensive, it's about the status that comes with it." A murmur of agreement swept through the nearby staff, their whispers charged with judgment. But Keanu's steady gaze never wavered. "Luxury, in my view, is about respect. Respect for the craftsmanship, for the history, and most importantly for each other," he stated softly, yet with an undeniable firmness. Richard scoffed at the idea. "Respect is a luxury that only a select few can afford," he retorted, his tone laced with arrogance. "Perhaps you're here just to dream, not to buy." As the tension mounted, a crowd began to gather. Employees exchanged uneasy glances, and a few curious customers leaned in, eager to witness the unfolding drama. Keanu, however, seemed almost unperturbed by the growing hostility. He studied Richard, as if trying to decipher the layers of insecurity and pride hidden behind the manager's sneer. "What exactly are you here for?" Richard demanded, his voice rising in volume. "You don't look like someone who can truly appreciate what we offer." Keanu took a measured breath before responding. "I'm here because I'm looking for something that resonates with me. A piece of art that tells a story of resilience and passion. And I believe every individual, regardless of their background or appearance, deserves that chance." Richard's face flushed with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "You expect to waltz in here, as if you belong, and then lecture me on what matters? That's rich, coming from someone dressed like they're on their way to a garage sale." The insult stung, but Keanu's reaction was one of quiet resolve. In a fluid, almost choreographed motion, he stepped forward and intercepted Richard's aggressive gesture when the manager raised his hand, attempting to intimidate him with a swift punch. Keanu's hand met Richard's mid-strike, halting the blow with a calm, yet resolute firmness that silenced the room. "Anger is often a mask for insecurity," Keanu remarked, his voice low but carrying clearly in the suddenly hushed space. "Perhaps it's time to look within and rediscover what truly matters." Richard staggered back, momentarily stunned, as the room fell into an even deeper silence. The confrontation had taken a turning point that would soon ripple far beyond the confines of the dealership. Unbeknownst to Richard, a young man standing in a corner had been recording the entire interaction on his phone. His hands trembled slightly as he captured every moment, from the initial snide remarks to the fateful clash of wills. Within hours, the video found its way onto social media, its raw authenticity striking a chord with thousands. As the video went viral, a tidal wave of public outrage swept across the internet. Headlines decried the arrogant behavior of the dealership's management, while social media platforms exploded with hashtags like #RespectIsLuxury and #TrueLuxury. Ordinary people from all walks of life began sharing their own stories of humiliation and prejudice, rallying behind Keanu's quiet yet powerful stand for decency. News outlets quickly picked up the story, transforming the incident into a nationwide conversation about the true meaning of luxury and respect. In interviews, Keanu maintained his usual reticence, refusing to bask in the spotlight. "This isn't about me," he would say. "It's about how we treat each other. Respect shouldn't be conditional on appearance or wealth." The fallout for the dealership was swift and severe. The public's reaction was unforgiving. Clients canceled appointments, and sales plummeted almost overnight. Employees, once proud to work in an environment of ostentatious luxury, now found themselves caught in the crossfire of a public relations nightmare. Rumors began circulating about the manager's long history of disdain for customers who didn't fit the mold of exclusivity. Richard, once confident and domineering, was forced to confront the consequences of his actions. His attempts to issue a lukewarm apology were met with scorn, and the dealership's reputation suffered irreparable damage. In the days that followed, high-profile figures and celebrities expressed their support for Keanu, praising his unyielding commitment to dignity and respect. Behind the scenes, Keanu's mind was already working on a way to transform the negative experience into a lasting positive change. He had never sought the limelight, but he also understood that moments like these carried the potential to spark meaningful reform. For him, the incident was not an isolated act of defiance but an opportunity to inspire a broader dialogue about fairness, inclusion, and the true nature of luxury. Determined to forge a new path, Keanu began exploring avenues to bring about change, not by seeking retribution, but by fostering an environment where respect was the norm, not the exception. He spent weeks meeting with various community leaders, activists, and even former employees of the ill-fated dealership, listening intently to their stories of discrimination and exclusion. Every narrative, every whispered grievance, reinforced his belief that true luxury lay not in expensive possessions but in the dignity with which people treated one another. One afternoon, as the buzz around the incident continued to subside in the media, Keanu found himself drawn to a modest, independent dealership on the outskirts of the city. Unlike the ostentatious halls of the luxury showroom, this place exuded warmth and authenticity. The owner, a kind middle-aged gentleman named Sam, welcomed him with genuine enthusiasm and an open heart. "Mr. Reeves, it's an honor to have you here," Sam said with a warm smile as he extended a hand in greeting. "How can I help you today?" Keanu's response was simple yet profound. "I'm searching for something special, a car that isn't just a statement of wealth, but a symbol of hope and transformation." Over the next hour, Keanu and Sam discussed cars, history, and the importance of community. There was no pretense, no judgment. Just a sincere exchange of ideas between two people who believed in the inherent value of respect. Sam showed him a vintage model that had seen better days, a car that many had overlooked for its worn exterior and faded glory. But Keanu saw something more: potential, history, and the promise of renewal. "It might not look like much now," Keanu said as he ran his hand along the car's dented fender, "but every scar tells a story. And sometimes, the most beautiful stories come from overcoming adversity." Keanu decided to purchase the vintage car, not as a mere collector's item, but as a catalyst for change. He envisioned it as a project that would bring together a community of volunteers, mechanics, historians, artists, and everyday people, each contributing their skills to restore the car to its former glory. The restoration was to be a collaborative effort, a testament to the power of unity and the belief that beauty could emerge from even the most overlooked objects. Word of the restoration project spread quickly, fueled in part by the viral video and the ensuing social media movement. People from all over the country volunteered their time and expertise. Fundraisers were organized, and soon the project became a beacon of hope, a symbol that even in a world often divided by superficial distinctions, there remained a shared commitment to uplift one another. During one particularly moving community meeting, Keanu addressed a diverse group of supporters. "This car," he said, gesturing toward the aging vehicle now parked at the center of the gathering, "represents more than just a mode of transportation. It embodies resilience, hope, and the belief that every one of us deserves to be treated with dignity. Together, we are proving that true luxury is not measured by the price tag, but by the respect we give and receive each other." The room erupted in applause, and for a moment, the noise of the world outside faded into the background. It was a moment of unity, a moment when a simple car had become a symbol of something much larger, a movement toward a more inclusive, compassionate society. As the months passed and the restoration project took shape, the lessons learned from that fateful day at the luxury dealership continued to resonate deeply with Keanu. He had faced arrogance and prejudice head-on, and rather than allowing bitterness to take root, he had chosen to channel his experience into something transformative. His actions had sparked a global conversation, one that challenged the notion that luxury was solely defined by exclusivity and opulence. In interviews, when asked about the incident, Keanu's responses were measured and reflective. "I've learned that every encounter, no matter how difficult, offers an opportunity for growth," he explained. "Sometimes, the world forces you into a corner where you have to make a choice, succumb to negativity, or rise above it. I chose to rise, and I hope that by doing so, I can help create a ripple effect that brings about lasting change." His words found a receptive audience. Celebrities, activists, and even representatives from major luxury brands began to re-examine their practices. Some initiated campaigns to promote inclusion and respect in industries long marred by elitism. A growing number of businesses started adopting policies that emphasized customer dignity over profit margins, and the phrase, "true luxury," began to take on a whole new meaning. A meaning defined not by excess, but by the simple act of treating one another with kindness. The impact of Keanu's journey was felt far beyond the confines of the automotive world. In neighborhoods across Los Angeles, community centers organized events themed around "respect is luxury," and social media was abuzz with personal stories of overcoming discrimination. In one particularly moving online campaign, ordinary people shared how a simple act of courtesy had transformed their day, their outlook, or even their lives. One story told of a young woman who, after being dismissed by a high-end boutique, found solace in a small, family-run store where she was treated like a cherished guest. Another recounted how an encounter with a kindly taxi driver reminded a tired commuter that respect could be found in the most unexpected places. These narratives, shared with heartfelt sincerity, helped to create a tapestry of experiences that celebrated the small, everyday acts of kindness that often go unnoticed. The restoration of the vintage car neared completion, and on the day of its grand unveiling, a charity auction intended to benefit organizations working for social justice and community development, Keanu took center stage. The once-forgotten vehicle now shone with renewed brilliance, its scars polished away to reveal a beauty that had been reborn through the hands and hearts of a united community. In his brief yet powerful speech at the auction, Keanu addressed the crowd, his eyes reflecting both gratitude and an unyielding commitment to change. Today, we celebrate not just the rebirth of this car, but the birth of a movement. A movement that reminds us that respect and dignity are not privileges to be earned by a select few. They are rights inherent to every human being. Let this car be a testament to the fact that, when we come together, even the deepest wounds can heal, and even the most broken things can be made whole again. The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing the sentiment that had taken root in hearts worldwide. Bidding for the car soared past expectations, and the funds raised were earmarked for initiatives that would continue to champion the values of inclusion, fairness, and respect. Long after the auction ended and the media frenzy had subsided, the legacy of that day continued to ripple through society. The luxury car dealership that had once prided itself on exclusivity was forced to confront its practices and gradually shifted toward a more inclusive model. Richard, the manager whose arrogance had sparked the viral incident, eventually left the company, his departure serving as a stark reminder of the cost of hubris and the power of public accountability. For Keanu Reeves, the journey was never about fame or accolades. It was about making a difference in a world that often prioritized appearances over substance. His quiet act of defiance had grown into a movement that inspired countless others to stand up for what was right, to believe that every person deserved respect regardless of their background or circumstance. In the years that followed, the story of that day became a modern parable, a tale recounted in boardrooms, community centers, and living rooms alike. It was a reminder that every encounter held the potential for transformation, that even in the midst of opulence and extravagance, the simplest gestures of kindness could redefine the very notion of luxury. Keanu's journey had taught the world that true luxury was found in the courage to stand up for one's beliefs, in the strength to turn adversity into opportunity, and in the unwavering conviction that respect, above all else, was the greatest treasure of all. And as the sun set over Los Angeles, casting long shadows over the city that had borne witness to his silent revolution, Keanu Reeves walked on, a humble hero whose legacy was defined not by the accolades of Hollywood, but by the hearts he had touched and the lives he had changed.